And then the other demo I have is sort of a demo I already did. We had this PR that I made a while back to add an updater. It came out of the Omnibus Cookbook, the Omnibus Updater Cookbook. Someone made this PR that I kind of rolled with. It was, hey, instead of trying to do this old school method of doing upgrades where we actually like have our own logic, we detect our own platforms, and we know where to curl out and get the packages, we should just use mixlib install, because mixlib install has all that and Chef updates it. And that doesn't require this cookbook to constantly be updated, because mixlib install gem can just get updated on its own. And it was pretty cool. So I rolled with it and kind of massaged it a little bit, turned a cool custom resource into it. And I was going to stick it into the Chef client. And we had a PR recently that required the systemd unit in the Chef client, which kind of made me realize even more why it should not be in there. And that was that if we put it in the Chef client, it could only upgrade, it could only run on a version of Chef that the Chef client cookbook itself could run on, which is a fairly modern Chef client. So that would mean that we would have an updater resource that could only upgrade you from 12.11 to a modern Chef. And that's probably not that useful for people. So instead, I put it into the Chef client updater. It's still going to require you to be on a recently modern version of Chef. Otherwise, you're going to have to use the Omnibus Updater Cookbook, because it is a custom resource. We could probably make it an LWRP and bring it back even further, but this will require 12.1. But basically, it's a pretty simple custom resource. Allows you to prevent downgrades, set a channel, set a specific version, and then set a post-install action or an exec command, exec args. Just a few basic things in there. Runs you through, but it installs like mixlib version and mixlib install, and handles all that logic completely outside of the cookbook. So the cookbook ends up being like, this resource is 137 lines with a license at the top. And that's in comparison to the Omnibus Updater that is like hundreds and hundreds of lines trying to like parse out what version of OS X you're on or something, which is just awful and never really works. So this has just a basic recipe that uses that resource. If people want to just use that, that'll totally work if they like doing things that way, but they can also just use the resource. And this has some attributes that you set, with some standard defaults that kind of make sense. Kill, prevent downgrades. Yeah, we probably just want to upgrade to the latest version, and we want to use the stable channel because that's a good idea. And what you get here, this is running it in Food Critic. This is running in Test Kitchen. We actually run this Chef Client Updater, you see here, and then since we were set to kill, it forces an exit, kills the client. We utilize the exit codes that we have, so it exits with 213, and this Test Kitchen setup is set up to actually recognize that and then to run again. So it runs again down here after it dies, and then you see it start back up, and magically it's running as the new latest hotness here, 12.1936, and it skips. But you can see it kind of, went through the whole process. It does have to install those gems again because now you're in the new Omnibus install. But now it'll say, oh, looks like you actually are on the latest version, so I don't have anything to do. So I think this is ready. I think it's time to throw it out and see where it doesn't work, because you can't really test it unless you have a real Chef infrastructure and you can see all the edge cases with like kills and execs and all that stuff. But I think this will give people a lot better experience than the Omnibus Updater. And doing it in its own cookbook kind of eliminates the whole issue of not being able to require new versions for Chef Client Cookbook itself and use all those cool new features that we've introduced. So maybe today we'll get this released 1.0, and I can wait for the bugs to fly in.